Or was there a specific issue that we were able to solve? Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Moonlock Podcast. You are still with me, Ramon. Welcome. No Doms and Edward for today. I think they are still busy with work. So I just want to give a quick shout out to my co-hosts. I hope you guys are doing okay. It's been a while since I've done a solo episode, so please bear with me. Medyo kinakabahan, but this should be fun. I asked yesterday on my Instagram account for you guys to send in some questions through NGL. So NGL is like our generation's Ask FM and Form Spring. Shout out sa mga uh, batchmates ko dyan who used these platforms before to ask your crush's favorite food or whatever. So it's that kind of app yung NGL. So I asked yesterday to send in some questions and I'll be answering it today. And we got two cool questions here. So maybe the other one will be another episode, but let's dive into the first one. An anonymous messenger asks, so I know you've discussed in the second episode, which was 2 years 3 years ago, about humble beginnings. So shout out, thank you so much for listening, episode 2. It was with Doms and Ish, I believe. Um, but another topic I would be so interested in is what gave you that push to start? How did you prepare before taking the leap? And lastly, what advice can you give those that are interested in starting their own podcasts? Thanks as always for the awesome content. So, thank you so much for sending in your question through NGL. I guess the I will be focusing this one in regards to podcasting, no, since um that's what you ask on the latter part. So I'll just relate the first two questions to that. So again, thank you so much for listening to episode 2. Um and thank you for your question. So I have a few notes here para hindi tayo magulo. I hope this would what do you call this? Answer your question. So this is not absolute. This is just my opinion, and from the the past few years that I've been doing. So okay. So for the first question, what gave you the push to start podcasting? I believe so. Okay. Um, I've always been a fan of radio. Um, and I have this weird dream during college to be a radio DJ. So maybe you've heard this from my episode with Justin Alvarado. He's a radio DJ right now and naging junior jock siya sa 89.9 sa Magic. So yeah, I have this weird dream during college to be a radio DJ, and then there was a phase in my life wherein wala kaming TV. We didn't have television growing up. So the main source of entertainment that I had was radio. So my yaya would turn on the radio and then she would write down the top 10 hits sa um WRR 101.9 yon before they rebranded. And then before Barangay LS, it was Campus Radio. And then, of course, Magic 89.9 with Good Times with Mo, and then BNO. So I would listen to these radio stations at home or going to school. And then, of course, since wala pa masyadong CD recorder before, and easily accessible yung cassette tapes and cassette players, of course, with the record button there. So I would record and make my own mixtapes of my favorite music. So I would get an existing tape here. Tapos pwede mo yun ano, 'di ba, patungan. Basta may record button yung cassette player nyo. So, yun. And then, yeah, I thought talking to people was fun, and then you get to introduce new music, or di ba may mga spill sila on it's brought to you by Alaksan. It's 7:56 p.m. and that music was brought to you by Alaksan FR. Ganyan, di ba? So I thought that was fun. So I had this weird dream of being a radio DJ, and then when DLSU absorbed DLSC, DLSC students, De La Salle Calubao students were allowed to join organization from the main campus. So I actually applied sa Green Giant FM. It's DLSU's radio station, but I didn't push through with the application when nang nagpapatawag na sila, kasi nga I was committed na with my org, and mahirap kasi pagsabayin yung dalawa eh. So yun. And maybe that's one of the reason why I pushed podcasting. Aside from maraming mga influencers and content creators that I follow who are also into podcasting. So, but aside from that, yun, I have this weird dream before of being a radio DJ. And ayun na because of podcasting, medyo nalilive ko yung dream, di ba? Next question is, how do you prepare before taking the leap? So when I was starting, I first is took I took time. It took me time to actually publish my first podcast. And even so, the first episode, yung before Humble Beginnings, there was like a short 1-minute episode lang to introduce the podcast. And kahit pa nun, medyo hindi pa rin ako sigurado what it would be like, but I took time really. As an impatient person, as I am, that wants to get things done right away. So I just took it day by day. There were times that I would sit down and brainstorm on the podcast name. Excuse me, on the podcast name, logo, what the feel would be. So yun, medyo matagal yung process na yun kasi I didn't really want it just to put it out there. I had a podcast before with David D. He's my college friend. And then that time wala pang Anchor.fm for distribution. So we tried different things like uploading it on SoundCloud, and then may mga hosting platforms before na would just give you like X amount of minutes for free na pwede mong i-upload with X amount of file size. So maraming restrictions before I graduated siguro mga 2015. Joke. Hindi pala. After graduating college pala, David and I tried to make a podcast. So siguro mga 2015, 2016, distribution was very hard. And when I tried to do this podcast, the Moonlock Podcast, mas gusto ko smooth na siya. So it really took some time para kahit paano when I launch it, medyo polished na. So yun. What did I write here? And then yeah, aside from brainstorming and polishing the tech side, yung distribution ganyan, I would listen to my favorite podcasters and just try to get little bits of pieces from their interviews ganyan. So check their structures of their interviews. So this helped me build my own episodes. So yeah, I took the good parts. If I heard something that would like they can improve on, so medyo nililimit ko yun on my podcast. But when I released an episode na kasi, parang hindi ko na rin siya maiisip eh. So most likely just take on the good parts from your favorite podcasters and try to make it your own so that eventually you will be able to get your own flavor. Yan. So how do I prepare? Yeah. So whenever I hit the record button, I still get nervous because sometimes my brain is so laggy and I can't really comprehend or communicate really well my thoughts through words. So for point number 2, it's great to have guideline questions before you start an interview or write a script para ito. Natuto na ako. I wrote a script beforehand so that if ever you feel off track, you can just go back straight to your guide questions. But of course, thinking quick comes with experience and practice. So yung mga makita mong mga host, 'di ba, ang galing nila magsalita because aside from they're really talented, um marami na silang experiences on hosting, on doing interviews. So itong mga ko, I'm trying as much as I can to lessen it. And I think that's because of nervousness. So shout out to all hosts dyan and seasoned interviewers. And finally, I constantly remind myself before starting that every episode is a learning opportunity. So not just in terms of um, tech like editing, um, creating cover photos, but in terms of communication as well. Yun, I'm usually kasi hard on myself when I think I bombed an episode. So every after a recording, parang, okay ba yung boses ko? Um, hindi ba ako mukhang, uh, did I look stupid or um, parang sound stupid, ganyan, with my guests. But whenever a guest appreciates the time that we had recording, baka naman okay din talaga. Baka naman ano rin, I did something good. So, ayun, that's how I prepare before taking the leap or before recording. So, that's take your time and then create some guide questions. And then lastly, don't be too hard on yourself. And then, what advice can you give those that are interested in starting their own podcast? So, there were there there were a few friends already that asked me how to start podcasting. So, I would just like to give a shout out to Ina Venezuela. She just uploaded and published her podcast, Day by Day podcast. So, make sure to check her out. I will link her podcast in the description. So, friends would ask me how I distribute the podcast kasi nga before it was quite hard on uploading on Spotify and most hosting platforms are expensive, especially for those who are beginning pa lang. So yun, I would usually advise you guys to try and explore anchor.fm. It's a free distribution platform. You can already upload your episodes there, record your episodes there. There are stock music that you can use, and navigating through Anchor is really easy. So you would be able to follow their troubleshooting guidelines there on uploading. So it's really easy. So anchor.fm, guys, you can check it out. But um yeah, when starting, I think ideally talk about something that you are passionate about. So if you are into basketball, if you're updated with the latest gadgets, you like reading manga, anime, you can start from there. If you have multiple interests, I suggest that you separate it to one podcast each interest so that it will be easily searchable by your audience and they would know what specifically your podcast is about. So in my case before, when The Last Dance documentary came out, so I uploaded a few episodes here on my channel. I'm also passionate about basketball, but not to the extent that I would really want to talk about it kasi I'm not well versed with the technical side like plays and stuff. Like I'm just a fan that watches the game and plays pick up basketball. So para yun, it won't be get mixed with other things. I mean, if you have a niche talaga or an interest, um be focused there. Yun. Second is the numbers of plays is great for assessing and recognition, but for me what matters most is whether or not the audience gained something valuable from the episode, or was there a specific issue that we were able to solve. So um I am more mindful with that mindset going into each episode. um Maybe you can ponder with this as well. um there and lastly conduct research. So listen to various veteran podcasters, whether it's in audio or in YouTube. Certainly your niche um should have a podcast by now, so go listen to it. Again, like what I said a while ago, get the best aspects and make it your own, and of course learn from their failures. Madami ng content on the internet. And I guess from my research also, ito yung isa sa mga advice sila is find a good microphone for excellent audio quality. Since if you're intending to make a podcast in the long run, a decent microphone or good quality microphone would entail to better quality episodes. And this is based from my experience, diba? Of course, if what you're listening is has a bad audio quality, you wouldn't really want to finish it or mawawalan ka ng interest maybe at the start pa lang or in the middle. So, ayun. Of course, if you don't have one, any widely accessible microphone should suffice for the meantime. Syempre, di ba? If gusto mo lang naman muna mag-release ng episodes just to um, take it off your system, 'di ba? At least have one foot forward already. You just want to get your feet wet and stuff like that. So wala namang problema doon. It's just that maybe you want to also look into microphones, ganyan. So there are a ton of solid 1,000 pesos microphone already. But if you really want to go and take the next level, may mga dynamic microphones available. And that is my goal. Yan, for the next few episodes. There. So if you want to help me upgrade my microphone for future episodes, I set up my coffee account. It's ano ba to? Buy me coffee. Buy me coffee. I will put the link on the description down below. So I am looking to upgrade my microphone. It's $100. So mga nasa 4 to 5,000 pesos. And ayun. So if you find um this if you find the podcast awesome and you would want to support it, you can buy me a coffee at coffee.com for $3 or kung magkano man so that we can also upgrade our microphone. Yun. Ayun. So I hope that you were able to get something from today's episode. Again, thank you so much for sending this one in. And yeah, thank you. Thank you. I was really challenged with this question. So thank you. Thank you for this one. So if you have questions and any comments that you would like us here at the Moonlock Podcast to discuss or talk about, you can send in your questions at Instagram at the Moonlock Podcast, or I don't know, send it on NGL. It's ngl.link/Ramon so that it would pop up here on the app. Again, thank you so much for listening. This has been Ramon from the Moonlock Podcast. If you guys want to support us, make sure to hit the like button. Follow us on Spotify at the Moonlock Podcast. We are also on YouTube and on Facebook. I have a 5 rundown Fridays that I usually post on Facebook. It's like I got inspired with a newsletter of the 5 things that Tim Ferriss ponders for the week. So I try to upload my 5 things that gave me value for the week. You can check it out there. The video format for my YouTube or for the episode is on my YouTube account. So sorry, YouTube channel. So make sure to check us out at the Moonlock Podcast. Again, shout out to Doms and Edward, my co-hosts, who has been so good and kind to share their time with me. Thank you so much, guys. This solo episode has been fun. Thank you so much again. And as always, guys, stay safe, wash your hands, and see you all on the next one. Peace.